Welcome back to Working Class Customs YouTube channel, and welcome back to Stable B once again. We're in our happy place here, Stable B, with all our great motorcycles, and I don't know if you can tell in the background, maybe. I'll show you guys a little bit later, but we got a new bike in the stable today. First up, I want to give a quick apology. It's unfortunately that time of year where racetracks are closed down, so most of the videos are going to be right here in the stable with me. A lot of just me kind of talking at you, giving you my ideas, a little bit of bike maintenance. We'll get some more videos like that going, but it's winter time. That's just kind of how it is. So apologies for that. Second up, if you're new to the channel, please go down below, click the subscribe button. If you're liking the content, if you don't like the content, then that's okay, I understand. But also if you're liking the content, especially this video, throw a like on the video and leave some comments below. I love the comments, love the feedback. Love to hear from you guys on what you think of the videos, what you think about what I'm doing. I'm not a certified mechanic. This is just kind of what I've accumulated over time, little tips and tricks from me and the Working Class squad on what we think you guys might be able to learn from. And in turn, I ask that you leave me a comment if I'm missing something, or if there's something you know that I don't, so that I can learn, because we all need to learn. We can all be better. All right, so if you've been on the channel before, pretty familiar with this bike. If not, this is my 2008 Suzuki GSX-R 750. It's a track-only bike, not set up for racing yet, but it's just missing a couple things and then it will be. But it is a track bike and a 750. That's gonna come into play a little later. We got another one of those back here in the garage, and then we have this new bike, which again, we'll get into in just a second. But what we're talking about today is the fact that you might have bought the wrong bike. If you clicked on this video, you're kind of probably curious why I'm saying that. Or maybe you haven't bought a bike yet and you want to make sure you don't buy the wrong bike. And so we're going to talk about what I think one of the most controversial ideas might be, but also maybe one of the best first bikes you can get, or at least one of the best motorcycles you can buy if you're relatively new. And especially if you have the goal or the dream in mind of going to the racetrack one day and at least doing track days, if not even racing. We're going to talk about that and what a lot of people go and buy today and spend their money on. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this guy. This right here is a 2003 or 4, not sure, not my bike, but Honda CBR 600 F4i, back before they had the RR and all of that. You can see that right here in this beautiful little color here. Don't mind some of the dirt. I just picked this up today from a buddy of mine who bought it for around $2,500. Just keep that price point in mind as we go throughout this video. He said it's not running quite right. It'll idle and then kind of just shut off. So I said, hey, you know, let me take a look at it. Let me see what I can figure out. And then in turn, later on, once we get it back up and running and he gets to ride a little bit, we're gonna take it to a racetrack and see what this bike would be like on a racetrack, and see what it would be like for you guys to possibly purchase something similar to this and take it to a racetrack. It's pretty clean for what it is, the year. We do have a fairing sitting over here, but that's okay. We'll get that put back on. And beyond that, I'm loving the Repsol color scheme. Let me come around to the front here real quick, just kind of show you guys. These older bikes are funny with their air intakes. I always think they look so goofy with how fat they are. I'll go show you the Suzukis and whatnot in a second, but they've kind of definitely changed the air intakes on bikes for style, and older bikes are kind of goofy looking, but in a refreshing way. So overall, I really like it. Classic early 2000s Japanese sport bike, 600 cc's. Quick little shot of the Suzuki here. As you can kind of see, this one's a little more difficult because it's track bikes, so you don't have the headlights, but we'll get that in a second. But those are your air intakes there. And this guy, lights are taped up. Also goes to the racetrack quite a bit. We're seeing a theme here. Air intakes are under the lights, right? So kind of a little bit more hidden that way. They don't stick out on you so much. Then same thing here on the Aprilia, probably the best one to see because the lights are not taped up right now. Headlights, air intakes, kind of just fits in a little better. Motorcycles have definitely come a long way. I just got done telling you that motorcycles have come a long way. That's a 2019 Aprilia RSV4 1100 factory. We got some videos of it on the channel, so go check out the channel, check out those videos, show you a little bit more about it, the exhaust on it, a couple things like that. What I'm about to say is gonna be kind of contradicting to what I just said about bikes have come a long way. The whole point of this video is that, in my opinion, one of the best bikes that anybody can buy, have the most fun with, most bang for your buck, most speed for your dollar, whatever you want to call it, is a post-2007, pre-2015 Japanese 600cc sport bike. You might be asking yourself why. I don't know, maybe you're not. But prior to 2007, I don't think they looked that great. So I think 2007 is that perfect year where everything started to get nice and sharp and bikes started to get a little bit more of a, I want to say timeless body lines and shape and everything else to them. Like we were just looking at those air ducts, right? Both these bikes, the Gixxers that I have in 08 and in 09, And after that, and even 07, the air ducts moved in, the lines, you look at a Yamaha in that year range, they're just all cleaned up, so nice, so sharp, they look so good, but they're not gobbed up with the aerodynamics, the electronic assists, maybe it's not even a 600cc Super Sport anymore. I could go through like a number of things, the smaller tires, whatever it might be, and the world is kind of slowly changing. Yamaha just deleted the R6 off their lineup and said, we're not selling this anymore. That's not their fault, that's our fault. It's our fault for not buying those bikes anymore, right? The world is going, I either want a leader bike, which most people don't even want those anymore. They want something different. They want something that's nice and comfortable and easy to ride around town and isn't gonna scare them and won't kill them, as the stigma generally goes on a 600cc sport bike. What's my issue with that? My issue with that is that these new, slower bikes are, in my opinion, slowly killing the motorcycle racing community. It used to be that you would go out and get something to start on, something small, something easy to ride, and it'd be real small, like a 300. And then once you know, maybe a year under your belt, good to go, I can ride now, hop on a 600cc sport bike. And a lot of people just stayed there for the rest of their lives because, well, they're perfect in every way. Or they decide they want a little more, they want to go play with the big boys, and they grab themselves a leader bike. That 600cc sport bike was like the killer. They had plenty of power where you could have tons of fun. They weren't insane like a leader bike, so you aren't going to necessarily break any speed limit in first gear like you do on the big boys. The ergonomics on the bike are set up perfectly for the racetrack, canyon carving, but they're still small enough and lightweight enough that you can handle them around town and you're not gonna feel too crazy about it. In my opinion, the best thing you can do with your money as either a motorcycle owner currently or someone that's looking into it is go buy that kind of 2007 to 2015 Japanese 600cc sport bike. And why? Mostly is because the money. They are so cheap. I'm actually gonna pull up Facebook Marketplace here on this video, get a real live, see what kind of prices I can find, and then quote you the MSRP of today's market, what has kind of taken the place of these 600cc screamers. Okay, so as I said, live, we are on Facebook Marketplace currently. I just looked up a Yamaha R6 just to see what we would get. And the first one that popped up is actually 2008 for $2,500. There's probably something wrong with that one. That's all right, we'll move on to the next, a 2012 for $6,500. Another 2012 for $6,800. A 2007 for $4,500. A 2007 for $2,500. There's a 07 Gixxer for $1,850. There's a 2010 R6 for $7,500. There are so many of these bikes in this year range at such great, cheap prices that I don't know why people aren't looking for them. Let me tell you why maybe you shouldn't, before I tell you why you definitely should. The biggest reason I could say that you shouldn't buy one of these bikes would be that they are old and beat up, because people get them and they go screaming down the freeway and then they don't do their maintenance and the chains are rusted and a huge list of things that's wrong with them. Also, a 600cc sport bike is gonna rev anywhere from 14,000 to 16, 19,000 even sometimes RPM. A bike that revs that high, running that much compression, isn't gonna last that long. Generally, the rule of thumb that I always use is 40,000 miles is your max. So if you're looking to put some time on it, you're gonna wanna buy it under 20. Several of those bikes I just looked at were well under 20,000 miles. A lot of the cheaper ones are higher in mileage. They're gonna need a rebuild soon. But I would still argue that a $2,500 bike and a $2,500 engine rebuild is better than buying, for instance, RS660, MSRP at $11,699, or an R7, $91.99, a Ninja 650, $7,999, a CBR 650, $9,699, and an MT-07, $8,199. I picked those 5 bikes specifically because those are some of the bikes I see the most often out on the road and in new motorcycle owners and riders. They offer a niche spot on the market. They're great for beginners, but they're not so small that you're gonna grow out of it or feel like you don't have something, or don't have enough. But at those prices, you're still gonna end up feeling like you don't have enough eventually. If you hop over to the used market, pick yourself up a used, it doesn't have to be Japanese, but the other companies didn't really make them. Japanese 600cc sport bike, super sport specifically, Yamaha R6, CBR 600, ZX6R, Gixxer 600. Those 4 guys were the kings of their time. It is the best decision you could ever make. All right, so to put this into perspective, again, this is a 2019 Aprilia RSV4 1100 factory. I should go grab the key real quick, so I'll do that. All right, getting this thing kind of not started. We're not gonna start it right now, but look at that dash. Let's see if I can get a close up there for you. We have traction control. We have the rider mode. And down here, it's hard to tell. Sorry for that non-focus that we're getting. You have ABS, anti-wheelie control, automatic launch control, and a whole bunch of stuff going on in there. Over here on this side, you got a plus button, there's a minus button on the back, there's the pit button because it's got a pit limiter, there's this control to go up, down, and through all this menu. There's this button, which can either be cruise control or wheelie control, all those great things. Over here, you have to repress the start button to get the rider mode to change. It's a lot. It is a lot. Yes, I understand this is not an R7 or an RS660 or any of those things. I understand that. But come over here. I also understand this is only a Gixxer 750. Look at our dash over here. We have speed, neutral light, RPM, sorry, gear, neutral light, RPM, speed, temperature, odometer. And then if I press my mode button here, I have an A, B, and C mode for rider modes. And that's it. That is all there is. On these older bikes, there is no ABS down there, no ABS back there. There's no sensors back there to tell it whether or not it's compressing or expanding or whatever to stop it from wheeling and cut power out of there. There's no extra electronic aid anywhere on this bike from factory. Now, the thing I did put on this bike to help me out a little bit is a quick shifter, up only. And my belief, which fight me in the comments, I'd love to hear someone else's opinion on it, but my belief is that you will learn better on a racetrack on one of these bikes that is just a raw motorcycle. Doesn't give you any aids, doesn't give you any help, doesn't have launch control, none of those things. You will learn better riding on a racetrack and racing on one of these than going buying something that has all of those aids to help you out and possibly make you feel like you're riding at a level that you might not be. So please understand this video is a lot of opinion, and I understand that. And I also understand that not everyone wants a 600cc screaming sport bike, and someone wants something a little more smooth, a little more town friendly. I get all of that. My point that I'm trying to make is that, one, club racing in America has been taking a hit. I don't know if a hit's the right word, but it has been difficult for people to put all the different types of bikes in their classes. It used to be pretty easy. There's less than 600, there's the 600s, and then there's the greater than 600s, and that's like about it. But now everyone's got these parallel twins. They've got the little tiny guys, but you're getting these parallel twins that are just going up and up and up and up in the CCs. And I'm telling you right now, an RS660 cannot compete with an R6, right? It just doesn't. R7, same thing, does not compete. But it will also be much faster than, say, a Ninja 400 or an R3 or any of those smaller bikes that you might find out there. So where do you put it? That means you have to create an extra class just for that. And if 3 people show up with that bike, that's only 3 people out on the track, which is not an effective use of a track. Tracks cost money to rent. Club racers have to pay that money. So either fees go up or the club disappears because they can't afford it anymore, or no one shows up because they don't have the right bike. What I'm trying to get at is that if you're thinking about going to the track, or you're thinking about starting a race or anything like that, go pick yourself up a 600cc sport bike and keep it relatively old. Parts are cheap, parts are available. They haven't stopped making them. They've been around long enough that the aftermarket is huge. There's like no stop to the aftermarket for these bikes. I promise you, I own one. I've been doing a lot with it. Yeah, it's a 750, not a 600, but besides the engine internals, it's pretty much the same bike. So there are so many options for these bikes, so many different things you can buy. Every website has them. They've been tested. Like, there's videos. If you want to put exhaust on it, every single exhaust that's ever been put on that bike has a video out there on YouTube. Every single one, I guarantee it. I've got my own video for the exhaust that I put on this one, right? Everyone's ridden these already. You know what they're gonna be. They're tested, they work, and they're just fun. They're just pure fun. And I guarantee that 15,000 RPM screaming inline 4 will rattle your brain the first time you hop on one. The point I'm trying to make tonight is that if we continue to not buy these old used bikes, and the new ones, to be honest, the new ones are still great too. If you can find one, go buy a CBR 600, go buy a ZX6R, go buy a new Gixxer 600, that's all great. But you don't show the people that that's what you want, then they're gonna go away, as we've seen with Yamaha. Weirdly enough, right after Yamaha discontinued it, the prices on used newest model R6 is shot up an insane amount because they're an amazing track bike. Everyone loves racing them. They're one of the kings at almost every racetrack you'll see in a 600cc class is going to be an R6 because they're awesome. And then Yamaha said, yeah, we're done with that because no one wants to buy them. Do yourself a favor, keep them alive, go buy one. If you don't want to spend the money on a new one, that's great, because what I'm preaching today is go find a used one. You'll save some money. Even if, like I said, even if it needs a full rebuild on it, you're still gonna end up saving money over one of these newer bikes that, yeah, it might have the clutchless up and down shifting. It's got the ABS, it's got the traction control, it's got wheelie control, it's got cruise control, it's got heated grips, it's got all these great things. But all those things take away from the raw motorcycling, and raw motorcycle riding on a racetrack is one of the greatest feelings in the world. And if you can learn to ride without it first, you can definitely ride even better with it later on. So once again, I just want to reiterate, this is just my opinion. If you're looking at one of those other bikes and they just look great to you and that's what you want to do, you go ahead and do that, that's fine. Always looking for more people to ride motorcycles. Still bring that bike out of the track, absolutely. Honestly, I think that's the way the world's going anyway. So that's probably where we're headed. But I'm telling you, if you want to go have great, fast fun on a motorcycle, on a racetrack, and get into racing real quick and compete at a pretty high level, a 600cc sport bike is going to be the way to go. And that year range I mentioned is right before they got bugged out with electronics and everyone started going kind of crazy in the motorcycling world. They were some of the last motorcycles that were produced just purely a motorcycle, right? An engine, two wheels, brakes, and that's it. And fairings, I guess, if you want to call it that. They got the rider modes on them. That's really about it. That'll help you out. You can use C mode on rainy days or whatever it might be. But that's it. So it's gonna teach you to have an appreciation for your brakes, have an appreciation for your back end sliding out a little bit and things like that, because you don't have all the electronics getting in the way. Take the advice, let me know if I'm missing something, like I said, down in the comments. Let me know your opinions, I'm kind of curious. I personally would choose a CBR 600 over an RS 660 just about every day of the week. I wanna go ride an RS 660 because I'm kind of curious, but I think after riding something that revs out to 15,000 RPM and has 110 to 120 horsepower and will do dang near 160, if not more, miles an hour down a front straight, don't think the 660 is gonna give that joy. So let me know if those of you that already have RS 660s, R7s, any of those sweet new bikes, let me know what you think down in the comments, especially if you're coming from something different. I'm kind of curious what the rest of you guys think, so let me know down in the comments. As always, throw a like on the video. Thanks for watching today, and we'll see you guys again next week.